Hey guys, Fearcraft here, and today we're going to be doing the review build video on Titanic Shipment 21. I've just got the whole ship just sitting here, just dry fitted together of what I could, and yeah, this thing's gotten pretty big. I like it. So yeah, let me just sit you down here and I'll get the book open. Let me get back to issue 170, or not 170. I don't know where my brain's at. 117. There we go, 117. And then we'll go over what we did first. So the first thing in issue, or shipment 21 we did was issue 117. And this basically had us to do some parts. I think it was the main motherboard of the ship, I'm pretty sure. So, let's see here. Yeah, the main circuit board of the ship. It basically had us to do the main circuit board of the ship. And we had to identify these points. And then we had to stick them into the ship. And then after that, we basically put the motherboard into the ship. And then we attached it with 6 AM screws. Then after that, we had that much done. And then we moved on to issue 118. Then when we got to issue 118, it was basically engine room bulkheads. This is where we started putting the walls of the engine room up. We had to identify the points. The first one goes in front of the engine, which is right back up here, in front of the engine right in here. Then we stuck it in, and then we had to put it down with 2 NP screws. Then after we got the first one down, then we moved to the second one, which had these slits in it to fit over your propeller shafts. And then you had to put it down with 2 AP screws. Then once you had it down, you had that much of the engine room finished. You basically had the walls of the engine room up, just not the roof yet. Then you would move on to issue 119. Then when you got to issue 119, you had the engine room deck head, which is basically, you know, the roof of the engine room. Then you would basically put it down by just dry fitting it. Getting it into these notches was pretty challenging for me, at least, because I had to slowly pull apart the metal sides, slide it in, and then you had to make sure that the clamps would clamp into place. It had these holes. These like little square holes, you can see them right there, rectangle square holes. And it has these pegs, plastic pegs sticking up on top of the engine room walls, and you had to make sure that those pegs snapped into them square holes. So be very careful when you do that, because you could take a risk of breaking a peg. Then after that, you took these, the 2 metal bars that came with this issue, and then the 1 metal bar that came with the previous issue before this one, and you would put those 3 metal bars down in these 3 holes, which basically acts as a support in the middle. When the deck's set on top of it, it acts as a support. And then you would have that much done. Then you would move on to issue 120. Which, when you hit this, you basically have only 20 issues left to go, because there's 140 of this ship. So, when you hit 20, you got basically 40 left to go. Or not 40, 20 left to go. When you hit 20, you got 20 left to go. Ugh. Can't think straight. My mind's all over the place. And then you got the bow cross support. Now this right here is what would support your cables that were underneath your lower forward well deck up here. You would, those cables that were hanging down underneath it. See, when it was doing that, I was very worried about those eventually falling down, and then the solder joint coming loose, and then your cables unsnapping. But they thought about that, and this right here will hold those in place. So that's in there right now across here, the cross support. You would have to basically take this cross support out that you already had, and then you would move that cross support from here to here in the new location. And then after you've done that, then you would put the new one in its place. So they would have you take a cross support out from the front, move it to the back in front of the engine room, and then you would take your new cross support and then put it in the place of the one you just took out. So it was basically swapping. And it will tell you that right here in the book, where you would put these new supports, like I said, in front of the engine room right here in front. And then after you've done that, then you would move to the front, like I said, taking the front one out and moving the front one to the back where you had put the new supports. Then you would have it right there in front of your engine room. Then you would put together your new one. And once your new one was put together, then you would take the new one and put it into the place of where the one you took out used to be. If that makes any sense. But there's the thing right there that will support your wires. And I can kind of show you that back here because it's doing the same thing right here on this one right now. You can see on the other side up there, you can't see it right here, but on the other side up there, the wires are doing the same thing as the front. They're hanging down. And I worried about the solder joint, but eventually I did look in the book ahead of time because it shows us the next parts come in, next shipment. We're going to get another cross support that's going to support the back, which is a good thing. And I'll show you that here in a minute in the book when we get to it. But you would have that much of the ship done. Then you would move the issue 121. And then when you get to 121, you would be basically doing the docking bridge. And you would basically, put down your wooden deck to the docking bridge. Then you would put together your steering wheel, all of your little telephones, your telegraphs, compass tower, all of that. And all of that is right here. You would basically put together all of this. Now, the only thing that I glued down were the 2 telegraphs, but I barely put a little bit of glue, because like I said, I'm probably going to be switching these out when the replacements get made. And I did not glue anything else down. But I just have it sitting, basically on the deck, just sitting there. But you would do all of that, and then you would move to the next page. Then it would basically tell you to start taking this wire out. You would take this wire out from underneath this deck right here, which is the boat deck. You would take the wire out from the boat deck, and then after you took it out from the boat deck, it would tell you to set it aside. Then you would go and do your wire tidying. And then after that, you would basically put in your first mast. You would put in your aft mast. And then you would attach the aft mast with 1 IM screw. Then after you've done that, then you would take the wire that you just took off the boat deck, and you would snap that wire into the promenade A deck. You would snap that wire basically underneath here in the promenade A deck, up towards close to where the smoking room is, basically. And then once you've attached that in, then you would feed it through the hole. And then it would tell you to basically test your lights. Then after you've tested your lights, then it would take you to do some wire tidying with these stickers. Which, if you watch my video, I showed you all about the wire tidying and the stickers and how I got mine to stick, because eventually the adhesive will give. So I use super glue to basically glue my stickers down the way they will never give. And then you basically test your lights again on this section, and then you would have about that much done. You would have wire tidying done on the B deck and A deck promenade. Basically the bridge deck, which is B deck, and then the A deck promenade deck, you would have the wire tidying done. and you would not have the wire tidying done on the boat deck yet. Then when you move the issue 122, this would be when the big time challenge would come in. It would be your aft well deck and main deck assembly. So this is where it would have you do all the checking everything, getting the wires ready, identifying the screw holes. Yeah, all that fun stuff. And then, you know, you wire tidying for, yeah, that'd be your first thing to do is wire tidy for the boat deck. You basically wire tidy up for the boat deck, but like I said, if you watch my video, I show you how to go in great detail of where to actually put the wires, because there were certain slits in the walls and things that you would bump with the wires if you don't pay attention because of the way the book tells you. But yeah, you would basically have all that done, identifying everything. Then after you've done all that, it would basically have you to locate all of the screw sockets. Then you would basically put the two decks together. You would put basically the bridge deck, B deck, and A deck promenade together, and then screw them together with certain screws. You basically would do all that and have those two decks together. And like I said, I've seen many people pulling on their these sides right here to pull them out to get that to go. But if you saw my video, I basically was able to slide the whole A-deck promenade from the front all the way through to the back. You just had to pull it up here and there to get over the stairs and stuff like that. But it would go. It just took some maneuver. You just got to be patient with it. But it will go. It will slide in. And then after you've done that, then here's your wire tidying for the boat deck. And this is where you would really have to watch out. Now, it does tell you to put the wires in correct at certain places. But you got to watch certain wires. Otherwise, it will bump the walls. And you got to make sure that the wires go into those slits of the walls. So after you've done all that, then the fun thing will be you've taken all your smoke generator wires, feeding them through the hose, and then attaching that cable to the bottom of the boat deck where you unattached it from before. You would reattach it back, and then you would put all three decks together. Then you would basically screw all three decks together. Going to the next page. Right here, you would basically screw all three decks together with 14 AP screws. And then you would have to make sure that these snaps would go down. Now, the thing with the snaps, which on mine, right here, hasn't snapped all the way down, but it's acceptable. It's not really noticeable until you get right up on it, like right here. But like I said, the snaps really don't do their job of working. And on this side over here, it's good right here. Then you got a little lift up right here, but it's not going to be noticeable when the lifeboats gets on here, which is a good thing. And then on the other side, it really is noticeable over here if you're on the other side, because this is really sticking up. But luckily, like I said, we're not going to be seeing that side on mine when I display it, because it's going to be basically like this right here. So I'm okay with that. I wish the decks would have gone down more firmly, but these snaps just don't want to do their job of snapping in place. And I can't figure out why, but the pegs just don't want to go into the holes of the snaps and snap it down. So that's the problem I'm experiencing. And then after you've done all of that, it would have you to test your lights. And then you would move on to your aft lower well deck. And you would put down your piece of wood on your aft lower well deck. It would have you to do first. But like I said, I would highly recommend putting in the light, the LED light first, so that way you can still access the holes from above before the deck goes down. So you can get your tweezers in there, screwdriver, whatever it is, to maneuver those pegs to the side to get the LED in. Because the moment when you put down the wooden deck, you have completely blocked yourself of being able to access those holes to maneuver the pegs in place with a screwdriver. Once that deck goes down, them holes are no longer accessible. So I'd highly recommend doing the LED first before you even put the wooden deck down. Then after you've done all of that, you would be left with this much of the build. And then like I said, let's go back to the first page. And then right here, coming in issue 123, there's the other cross support for the back. And then here's the support to support the back wire on the lower well deck of the aft. So yeah, it's a good thing they took that into account. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope y'all are doing safe during these troublesome times. And I thank y'all for being with me during this build and all your comments that I've received, and how slow the channel is growing. I mean, we're almost at 500 subscribers. I'm hoping to hit 500 before the end of this year, but if we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. But I thank y'all for being with me during this build and all your kind comments and basically what all you've told me that you liked on mine and stuff like that and how I've been doing. It really does mean a lot, and it does help me to know that I'm doing something right. But yeah, we basically gotten this far now within about 2 years. Been building this thing now for 2 years. And then it'll be finished in January. So January, this ship will finally be finished. But like I said, the ship will be finished, but I'll still be doing modifications to modify certain things where that company's making upgrades. So even though the ship will be finished, we'll still be doing upgrades. So I'll still be bringing videos of Titanic after it's finished when I get the upgrades put on, and I'll show you the new upgrades, what we got. But until the next video we're going to be doing the weigh-in update to see how heavy she's getting now. And with the weigh-in update, I cannot put the metal hull onto the scale because it has outgrown the scale. The scale that I'm using only holds up to about 10 pounds, and the hull of the ship has now gone past 10 pounds. So I can't put it on, but I can still put the superstructure top on. I can still put that on, and I can still put these 3 smoke generators on and weigh those. I've already added the new parts onto the scale before I added them to the hull of the ship. That way I know how heavy the hull is now. And then once I get this calculated up, I'll just calculate all of those to the new updates on the whole of the weight, and then we'll come up with their weight that way. Hope that makes sense. But until that video, you all have a blessed one, and I will catch you guys in my next one. And goodbye.